Have you ever taken any of those genealogy tests that are advertised on TV? Well, I have, and in this video, I'm going to tell you what I learned. My genealogy teacher was a very smart woman, and I've always tried to remember this particular comment during my ancestry journey. I decided I wanted to be the self-appointed family genealogist. However, after 15 years worth of work, I decided that I was done. I really needed a break from it. It can become an obsession. Over those 15 years, there had been a significant change in the tools of genealogy research. From those big wooden card catalogs where you had to look up where to find all that microfiche and microfilm, to technology making everything easier to find. When I first became interested in finding out about my family tree, I only wanted to find out how far I could go back on the tree. I had no real interest in what my ancestors did, or what they did, or why they did it. In other words, I didn't care about the leaves, so my tree was more like a pine tree than an oak tree. Not really knowing how to get started, I found a class that was offered by a company called Leisure Learning. This class taught me how to get started and what resources were available. In addition, we got to tour the Clayton Library Center for Genealogy Research. This library is located in Houston and is the second largest genealogy library in the United States, the largest being the library in Salt Lake City. Basically, the whole process started with family interviews and the U.S. Census. As the years went by, genealogy information became more and more digitized, and more of it could be found online. I no longer had to go to Clayton unless I had to look for something unusual. I started using online tools such as Ancestry.com, Genline.se, which was later bought out by Ancestry, Find a Grave, as well as various other online genealogy blogs. Then came the DNA companies, who claimed that they could use your DNA to find out where you came from. Fortunately for me, I had already done a ton of research on my family tree. I moved from the pine tree to the oak tree, becoming interested in the why as well as the when. Because I had done a lot of the footwork already, I could see if these DNA tests did what they claimed. By the time I took my first DNA test, I had interviewed my family, taken a genealogy course, gotten research at the Clayton Library looking at census records, vital records, as well as information from some of the books they had from the period I was interested in. Information from online sources such as Ancestry.com, online family trees, and online research blogs. I had researched my family tree all the way back to the 1600s. So as you can see, I've done a ton of work over the 15 years that I worked on it. By the time 2021 rolled around, I had taken 3 DNA tests. I took the AncestryDNA test in 2012. At that point, it was a beta test. Ancestry continually updated my results. The last update was June of 2021. At that point, I canceled my Ancestry.com account since I had stopped doing research. I tried to get an update for this video, but even though I can still log in, I can't get any updates. The next test I took was CRI Genetics in May of 2021. I saw it on one of those best DNA test lists, so I decided to give it a try. The last one I took was 23andMe on July 27, 2021. It was last updated in July 2022. Not gonna lie, I took this test because I was watching a show called Who Do You Think You Are, which airs on PBS, and they used that particular test. I took that test to see if it could explain why I got such a different result between AncestryDNA and 23andMe. I think at this point it might be valuable to take a look at the websites for each of these companies, so it's easier to get a beat on things. So let's get started on our website tour. This will give you the layout of the land as well as pricing options at the present time. Here's the AncestryDNA website, and as you can see here, they give you a kit. Here's the price. It's $99 right now, and it's been $99 for a while. When you hit the button Buy Now, it will take you to an order summary page where you can create an account. You'll put in all your information, you'll create your account, and this is where you'll order your AncestryDNA test if you want to do that. When you get the kit, it's going to have a vial in there with some liquid in it. This is one of those spit things, and hopefully you can spit on command and it doesn't wind up like that urine sample at the doctor's office where you end up with performance anxiety. But hey, I have faith in you. You can do it. Once you get your results back, and I truly don't remember how long it took before I got my results back, what you're going to get is you're going to get a color-coded map, and it's going to show you your ethnicity percentages. I printed mine off, and it was a good thing too because I tried to log back into Ancestry.com, even though I don't have an account with them anymore because I finished my research. It shows that I don't have any DNA results, so I really don't know what's up with that. But anyway, that's the way it goes. Okay, right here is where you get, it shows you your ethnicity percentages like it does with these people. Here, if you want to know what your results will include, it's sort of like the example in there where it gives you an ethnicity estimate. Okay, as we scroll on down, here it says that the site states that it can pinpoint specific regions within the country, not just the country itself. Well, it did pinpoint that I have Swedish ancestry. I knew that, as my maternal grandmother's parents are from Sweden. Ancestry got the area in Sweden wrong, though, but I think that still that's pretty impressive because you're going to find when I end this video and I analyze what DNA results really can tell you that pinpointing an exact country you're from isn't really possible. What they do is they pinpoint a region in the country. If you scroll down here, you can trace your ancestors' journeys over time. This was my favorite part of the AncestryDNA site, to tell you the truth, because it really was surprisingly accurate in where it traced my ancestors. I had gone all the way back to 1600 and traced my ancestors from when they first arrived in the country from the UK, Germany, and Sweden, all the way to the eastern coast of Pennsylvania, and then took them all the way to the west coast of the United States. And Ancestry really did do a good job about that, and I know it was accurate because I've done it. I have all the paperwork, and I was able to compare what they did to what I got. This part right here, they didn't have when I did my DNA test. So what I might do is I might give this another shot if I have a few bucks handy and want to spend $99 to do this again, just to see what it does and to see how it compares with what I had. But it says that it can show your ethnicity results on both parents, on either parental side, which didn't happen when I first took it. So that's AncestryDNA. And again, it's $99 if you want to get one. It's got a very large database, larger than most other testing companies, and in my opinion, this is a real advantage and should make it more accurate than other programs. But when we get to the point where I'm comparing the 3 tests I took, we'll pretty much see about that, how the 3 companies compare. This is the CRI Genetics website, and this is what it looks like when you open it up. It says here that we can unlock our potential. I don't really know about that, but it's interesting to see what they're promising. Down here, they have a holiday sale up to 68% off. I assume the holiday they mean is Easter, and I can tell you they have a lot of sales. So you're never going to have to pay full price, at least I don't think so. Maybe I was just lucky when I was looking to see what I would have to pay in order to get a kit. They have two options here. They have the Ancestry plus Traits, and they have the Health plus Ancestry, and all this gives you kind of a rundown on what you can get. The Plus Traits option is the cheapest one, and it's $79. This is the one I got, and I paid $77 and change for it. So, and over here you have the Health plus Ancestry, and this gives you all the reports that you need or that you want: allergy reports, metabolism reports, nutrition, and so on and so on. So you can read that. It costs $99. So whichever one you want to pick, at least you'll know here what you could get. Now, this one is the one I got, so let's open up the 15 trait reports and see what it gives us. These are the traits that they give you: caffeine metabolism, lactose digestion, and so on and so on. Quite honestly, I already know that I have some of these traits because, I know I don't have red hair, and I know I don't have freckles, and I know that I have blue eyes, and so on and so on. How did I figure that out? Well, I looked in the mirror. And then down here, they have something that's called photosensitivity, where you can find out if you're more prone to increased instances of sunburn and skin rashes. I've had quite a few sunburns, so I already know that. I'm one of those people that burst into flames if I get too much sun. So whether you think these things are valuable or not, at least with the cheapest one, you'll get all these if that's where your interest goes. My interest was just to get my ethnicity, and so that's the reason that I got the cheaper one. So, I already know that all about my health that I need to. How do I improve my health? Well, just stop eating crap. So anyway, the site has questions that you can answer. So they tell you all about the company and all that. The company really hasn't been around very long, since 2016. This is the founder of the company, and you can read all about that. I actually got my results back pretty fast, and the beauty of this one is that you don't have to spit. I found that to be a plus. When you get the kit, you swab the inside of your cheek, and then you put the swab inside a tube. No spitting involved here, thank goodness, so I didn't have to worry about my spitting performance anxiety. Not only did I get my results back pretty quickly, but I had to call them about something, and not only were they pretty easy to reach, but they were actually pretty friendly on there, which is kind of important when you're dealing with customer service. Down here, it says a little bit more about what you can get, so you can kind of look at the site yourself and see whether this is for you. They also have testimonials from places. So anyway, this was the second test I took. As I said, I found it pretty easy to deal with. They sent my results back fairly quickly. The problem is the results, and I will talk about that in the results portion of this video. This is the last DNA test I took. To be perfectly honest, I took this test as sort of a tiebreaker because the results I got on the AncestryDNA test and the CRI Genetics test were so different, I wanted to see what the 23andMe would tell me. Also, this is the test they use on that PBS program, Who Do You Think You Are? I'm a big fan of that, so I thought I would give this a whirl. I don't really remember what I paid because I lost the receipt, and like the other two tests, they update results every once in a while. You can go log in and go out to their website with your account, and they will give you updated data because they are always updating their database. Right here, it shows that it's $99, and here is what they give you. They give you 80 personalized reports, your ancestry percentages, and they even tell you to 0.1%, 2,000 geographic regions, and a health update is available. And as I said, I'm not really interested in the health upgrade part, so I never bothered to do that one. I was just interested in what it would tell me about my ancestry. Down here, it tells you that it will give you ancestry composition, an ancestry detail report, and then here it says see all regions. What it means by that is it will tell you all the regions worldwide that it looks at in their database to see if you're in any of these regions. And so you can see all these regions. Generally, ancestry tests can't tell you a specific country you're from, but it can tell you the region you're from. And that's why sometimes they say, oh, instead of saying you're from England, they'll tell you that you're from British Isles, or they'll tell you you're from Northwest Europe instead of saying that you're from Germany, and all that sort of thing. Okay. Right here, this is what you could expect, a DNA relative finder if you want to find that long-lost relative, a family tree, and you can trace your path back to thousands of years. This will give you, if you're interested in haplogroups and famous relatives and whether you have any Neanderthal DNA, it will also tell you that. Okay, and this is what I was talking about in the CRI, where you have whether your hair is more likely to lighten or whether you get a sunburn or not. I mean, I kind of already know that, so I really wasn't interested in all that. So this is the last one I took, and again, it generally always has some kind of a sale going on, so you can wait for that one, and then you just punch the buy now and you'll enter your information, and so set up an account. And just like the other two, the account is what you'll log into to get your results. So that was the tour of the websites that I used for my 3 tests. Now to the nitty-gritty. How did these 3 companies do? What did my results show, and how accurate are they? AncestryDNA sends you a kit. As I said in the website tour, you spit in a vial that has liquid in it up to a certain mark that's on the vial. Then you send it in. It's amazing that I'm always able to spit but have trouble spitting on command. I don't remember how long it took them to send me my results. When I took the AncestryDNA test the first time, it was still in the beta stage of testing. They send you updates on your results as the information in their database changes. All of the companies I dealt with do this. Here were my results. England and Northwest Europe, specifically the Midlands and Yorkshire, 33%. Sweden, 28%. Norway, 19%. Scotland, 8%. Ireland, 7%. And Finland, 5%. When AncestryDNA says England and Northwest Europe, I thought that maybe that was where my German and French heritage was buried. However, they also include a map that is highlighted. Germany and France were not highlighted. I knew that my third great-grandfather, Philip Muller, and his wife Marguerite arrived in the United States from Baden-Württemberg in 1837, as I have the ship manifest. I also knew that my sixth great-grandfather, Jean-Henri de France, arrived in the U.S. from France in 1740. The odd thing is, before AncestryDNA sent me updated results, they included my German ancestry. As for the Norwegian ancestry, my second great-grandfather, Alfred Hammer, left Sweden with his wife and lived in Norway for 4 years. She died giving birth to twins, one of which was my great-grandmother. He remarried and left Norway, arriving in the United States in 1882. This could be what is in that 19%. With CRI Genetics, you do a cheek swab. There's no spitting involved. Here are my results. Germany, 43.5%, British Isles, 12.5%, Italy, 11%, Scandinavia, 10.5%, Southern Central Slavic, 10.3%, France, 9.7%, Spain, 2.5%. This is what CRI Genetics calls recent analysis, which goes back 5 generations. This was pretty inaccurate. Unless these people can go back to the Roman invasion of Britain, I can tell you that there is no Italian in me. As a matter of fact, the only Italian I've ever had in me is Italian food. Well, you get the idea. CRI must have made up for the German ancestry that my AncestryDNA lost after the second update, when they came up with that 43% number. I'm really not sure what is up with Southern Central Slavic or Spain. That's as big of a mystery as Italian. So if you add the mystery numbers, that's 23.8% that is from places that I don't have ancestry. The other results I got were from advanced ancestry analysis. This analysis goes back thousands of years, beyond the 5 generations that the recent ancestry analysis covered. I still have Iberian and Tuscany Italian, so maybe my Iberian and Italian ancestry goes back thousands of years. Who knows? The reason I took the 23andMe test was because I wanted to see if it matched or did not match the previous 2 tests I took. And as I alluded to before, I saw it on the PBS show Who Do You Think You Are? 99.4% of my results were Northwestern European. The other 0.6%, you ask? It's Eastern European. A percentage that small is negligible, as it may be tied to only one person in their database. If that person winds up being reclassified, that number will disappear like a puff of smoke. Here are my results. Scandinavian, 32.5%, specifically Sweden. British and Irish, 29.2%, which includes United Kingdom, Ireland, and Guernsey. French and German, 27.2%, which includes France, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, and Switzerland. Finland, 1.1%. AncestryDNA had 0.5% from Finland. Maybe there's something to that. 23andMe gets pretty specific when it came to my Scandinavian ancestry, even giving me the counties, pinpointing my grandma's peeps as being from Vasta Gotaland. Sorry, 23andMe, they're from Örebro and Värmland, and I've gone all the way back to the middle 1600s to figure that out. I was really pumped that they got into a reasonable range with the British and Irish number at 29.2%. They even identified my English peeps as being from London, which is pretty impressive. Unfortunately, Ireland shows not detected at all. Poor Thomas and Phileme Hughes. They came all the way from Donegal, Ireland, to escape Catholic discrimination, only to be ignored by 23andMe. 23andMe has all my ancestry from the UK and doesn't break it down into England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. I have ancestry in all of these groups. However, being that precise is really hard to do. Several countries are lumped together with French and German. I have French, German, and Dutch ancestry, so the 27.2% does make some sense. So, in the grand scheme of things, the 23andMe test was the closest of all three tests. So there were my results from 3 different DNA tests. But the real question is, what can DNA results really tell you? Or can't tell you? And how can they be useful? This requires a little explanation of what happens when DNA is passed down to use from our ancestors. A little hint here. You can't figure it out mathematically. It's really more complicated than that. Now, what can these DNA tests really tell you? Well, they can tell you the regions of the world that your ancestors might have come from, but not the exact country. A DNA test won't tell you your race or the race of your ancestors. Race is a sociological construct, not a biological one. You can't determine your ancestry mathematically. This chart shows the DNA percentage estimate that you would get from each generation if you could do it mathematically. The problem is that you can't because of something called recombination. Each human cell has 46 chromosomes, or 23 pairs, since you get half from your dad and half from your mom. Well, this is my dad and my mom, but I digress. Here's an illustration of what I'm talking about. In this representation of a human cell, you can see the chromosomes with the blue ones representing your dad and the pink ones representing your mom. Each chromosome is called a homologous pair. Here is an illustration of one chromosome. The dot in the middle is called a centromere, and the colored pieces are called chromatids. This really isn't that important in this explanation. Well, it probably is to this little guy. Since I don't want to cut and paste all those little chromosomes inside a circle again, we'll just look at one pair, since what is happening in one pair is happening to all the chromosomes in my cell illustration. Here's the pair that we'll be looking at, one from your dad and one from your mom. These two will pair up and then do what is called crossing over. When this crossing over happens, 2 of the chromatids will swap genetic material. This illustrates the chromosomes after genetic material has been swapped. The place where the genetic material is swapped is called recombination. Here are our new gametes or sex cells. The gametes that are different are called the recombined gametes. This recombination happens before fertilization and is what makes us a unique individual. This is why we don't end up as just a copy of our parents. It's also why your siblings have different genetic material than you, even though you have the same biological parents. This crossing over of chromosomes gives us genetic variability. Now remember, this is happening in all the other chromosomes in my expert illustration of the human cell. This recombination has been happening all the way down your family tree, or up it depending on how you want to approach it. So by the time any DNA from those 7th great-grandparents gets to you, you may have a lot of it, very little of it, or none of it, which is why those mathematical ethnicity charts don't work. I'm sure you've seen videos of siblings that took DNA tests and got different results when they took a DNA test. Because of recombination, it's possible for siblings to not get the same results on those DNA tests. So if your results are 10% German and your sibling is 0%, that doesn't mean your sibling is less German than you. It just means that your sibling didn't end up with the DNA from that German ancestor. But shouldn't all of the test results from AncestryDNA, 23andMe, and CRI Genetics have been the same? Not necessarily, as each DNA company uses their own reference population in their database. Any change in their specific database will affect your results. That's why they send you updates. Each company has its own algorithm. I don't pretend to understand any of their algorithms. Hey, I don't even understand the YouTube algorithm. A DNA test doesn't actually trace your DNA through your ancestors since, well, they're dead. Obviously, their genome isn't available for testing. The test is comparing you to a specific database which contains the reference population that the company is using. That explains why your test results could be different between different companies. Since your ancestry percentage can only be represented by a specific database, if your peeps aren't represented, you're sort of out of luck. An example of underrepresentation are indigenous populations. 80 to 90% of representation in ancestry databases is European. Pinpoint accuracy isn't possible. The percentages you get from the DNA companies are just estimates. That's why those teeny tiny little percentages you get in your results aren't worth much. If that little percentage is tied to one person in the testing company's database, and that person gets reclassified, that particular percentage disappears like magic. Keep in mind, as more people take DNA tests, the database changes and your results may change. I got 2 updates from AncestryDNA alluding to changes in my results. The laboratory testing methods are the same, no matter what DNA testing company you use. Your DNA can tell you who your parents are, as well as other people that are related to you. This is valuable for people who are looking for missing relatives. In my opinion, you really need to do the legwork first. Interview your family, dig up the records, do the hard work. And it is hard work, but it can be rewarding work. I worked on my family tree for 15 years before I decided to hang it up. It gave me an appreciation of where they came from and what they went through. I learned some history along the way, and it was more meaningful than the history I learned in school. A DNA test can't tell you exactly where your family is from. It also won't tell you something that I believe is more important to you: why they came. Interpreting DNA ethnicity test results as hard data can change your view of yourself, according to one Stanford study, and that may not be a good thing. Since the percentages you get are estimates, this view may be way off base. Don't let your vision of yourself as an individual be dependent on a DNA ancestry test. I personally treat these tests as being more entertainment than telling me who I am and where I fit into society. Would I take another one? Maybe, or maybe not.